All right. So, a very warm good afternoon to one and all. Today, we all have gathered here to um, for a talk on artificial intelligence in healthcare. So how AI will be utilized for healthcare application. So this talk will be delivered by our faculty, Vijay Patil. So, no introduction is required about Madam because you have already studied her. So, she has done some research work on AI in healthcare. Will deliver a lecture on AI in healthcare. Over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all. So today we'll be discussing on the topic of AI in healthcare. So let me share the screen. So before going with the AI in the healthcare, first let me understand some basic points there, like what is artificial intelligence and how it can be related to healthcare issues. Okay, so just tell me whether the screen is visible or no. Okay, the screen is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now artificial intelligence in healthcare. So before that, so we know that each and every one of us is intelligent in our own way. See, for example, if I give you a simple problem like 2 plus 2 is 4, and everyone can answer it, right? Starting from the age of about from a 3-year-old boy up till the old age person. But if I give a series of numbers there where there will be some patterns in between the numbers, and he has to recognize the next number. So in that cases, I'll guess among 100 persons are there. So among 100, I'll guess that 10% have given me 10% have given me the right answer, and I can tell that they have got the right answer, and I can just group them into a separate group like those are intelligent people. But I can't still conclude that those 90% are not intelligent, right? So what I'm trying to tell here is either those 10 people they know the series, they have recognized the pattern, and that is how they have got the answers. Now, when it comes to computer, how will the computer recognize that series? So, right. So, what we have to do is we have to train the computers. We have to train the computers with a different data, with a different pattern, so that it starts to think like a human being. For example, we humans, whenever we see, right now we'll be switching from the number series, okay, number series to some image recognition systems like. See, whenever I see a cat and I see a dog, I'll be able to make the differences there, right? This is a cat and this is a dog. But how the computer will make, right? So for that, the computer it will be trained with some images of the different images of the cats and different images of the dogs. Then a classification algorithm is applied and all those processing has to be done, and then I can tell that my machine or my system or the my deployment model, whatever it is done developed model, it recognizes, it differentiates between the different images. So similarly with this intelligence, or else still I can go to a more complex word like smart connected homes, where in smart connected homes, before I enter the house, there will be no necessary that I have to ring the doorbell and have to go. Simply what it will do, it will scan my face and it automatically the door will open. So how will it come to know that this member belongs to my family and he will be allowed to enter the house? Why? Because the computer will be initially fed with all the databases of all the family members. If an intruder or if a thief comes in, he can't enter, right? So these are all the artificial intelligent devices. Those are developed, right? Already developed in other countries, but in those in the different fields. Now, how this artificial intelligence I can apply to healthcare? Okay, I hope did you understand the some of the applications of AI? Everyone, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we will go by the definition like artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed. Okay, So this is what I was trying to tell. See, they have to be programmed in which, in a way similar to the humans, and then some action has to be collaborated to that program. So which can help me for to program it like a human mind, and it has to implement in problem solving techniques. So that is one definition. And also with artificial intelligence, I can also go for like visual perception, where I said image processing techniques, speech recognition. So speech recognition means here I'll come across like the one like your eco devices, Amazon Alexa or your Google Siri. Those belongs to the conversational intelligence, conversational artificial intelligence, right? Eco bots and Fire Stick. So those will all fall under speech recognition techniques. And then the decision making and translation between the languages. Now we can see, if you had your Eco Alexa at home, now if I tell the Eco Alexa to turn on the TV, if I tell it in Kannada language or in Hindi language, yes, of course I can do it. But before that, it has to be trained, right? It has to be converted to different language, and I can do it. Okay, so that is the other part. And next, if I go like in common, how I can relate it to the health center, means like the medicine field. So in basically, again, I'll tell AI is a part of science and part of the engineering, and a belief that a brain is a form of biological computer, that the mind is computational, right? So, and along with that, so these are the different fields like where AI can be brought it into the space. For example, neuroscience, linguistics, philosophy, and psychology. So when it comes to psychology and the neuroscience, there are other some neurological disorders where it is impossible, not impossible, partially possible for the doctors to predict that this and this person has got this neurological disorder. We can't guarantee him unless and until he has to go for different clinical trials there for different. He has to meet with counselor one for different sessions. Then only I can conclude that yes, this person has got some neurological disorder. Okay, so to name a few, we have a few neurological disorders like Alzheimer's and schizophrenia. Okay, so with this, what happens? I can as a doctor, I cannot come to a classification, come to a decision that this patient is schizophrenic or he is non-schizophrenic, right? So with this, I can't do that directly him to a category, but still he will be looking normal, but still I can't depict. So in that cases, I can take the help of my artificial intelligence system, or which is trained with the different samples. I'll let you know the things later, how it can be trained and how it can be made into a decision there. So these all things I can put up in healthcare, right? And then when it comes to intelligence, means how I have to train my machine. Whether, see, we all have the some of the intelligent techniques. Like, now if the person answers me first, if he takes the for example, if it takes 5 minutes to answer that question, the other person might take 10 minutes, right? So yes, I can tell that he is intelligent, while I consider the first person is more intelligent than the second. So then that gives me the performance of the system. That is called at what quick seconds my machine will answer to me, right? Okay, so that is the way here in all the artificial intelligence machine, either related to healthcare or related to other different fields. I can decide the performance of the machine based upon the accuracy judged in some very few seconds. Okay, so that is how I can relate the intelligence in the computers in this way. That is to define the performance, accuracy, and the milliseconds taken for each data set to scan, train, and test. Right. So the same way where we saw like humans when we who answered first and who was the next. So in that way, so how we have to train the computer? Then we have to give a reason to a computer to think. We have to plan, solve the problems, think abstractly, and then we have to learn the language, and then we have to put into the coding form, right? So this is all the things we have to do with the computer, the same way what we do with the humans, right? So in order to learn the English language, what we do first, we do with the alphabets, then we take up the words, sentences, and then we learn to talk, right? Similarly, my computer or my Alexa, see, Amazon Alexa, it has to be trained with all the English alphabets, right? And then it has to convert like English language to Kannada, and then only I can use it for Amazon Alexa in that way, right? So once it does all these things, once it does the works for me, whether do I really can tell that whether that machine is completely intelligent, right? Of course, my answer will be yes for some cases, but no for some other time. Why? Because now if it is only trained for Kannada language and English language, what about the Urdu or what about the Spanish there, right? So again, it has to train, right? For these first two cases, I can tell that it is preferably the intelligent machine, right? So in the earlier days, we had the scientist here where this first artificial intelligence got into existence. How it came into existence is now Alan Turing he made a test there, like if the questions were asked by the one person, okay, a human, and the same question is asked by the two same questions are asked for human separate and for the computer separate, and the answers collected by the person by the evaluator, whether he'll be able to guess that this answer is answered by actually the human, or this answer X, answer Y is answered by the computer, right? So if he can make the differences, if he can make the differences, then I can tell that my computer is not programming as human, means it is not as intelligent as human beings, right? So what I have to do is my answer, now whatever I give the answer, it has to be same as that of the computer. My answer must be matching with the computer, then only I can tell that yes, of course the computer can think as humans, and yes, it can be um, programmed. Why? Because now when I'm applying this artificial in healthcare, see now what will the doctor tell you? Doctor tells me that by saying upon the now I'll take the example of a radiologist. So radiologist, what will he do? Suppose this is my first month of the checkup. I have come, right, and he will see my X-ray, and there will be a tumor, right? There will be a tumor in the brain, but it is not seen in the X-ray image. Okay, it is completely invisible. But if seen by the bare eyes there, okay, if without by the radiologist, he has got his own ways to solve the problem there. So he will tell that no, you are good, you are healthy. But when it goes after a year, when I go to the second year and third year, and then afterwards, so once again I come for X-ray. At that time, he will tell that yes, you have got a brain tumor. You have to go for the medication. So why did not he tell it in the first month there? So he failed. So where the doctor fails, there my machine's work has to begin. Okay, initially it has to decide that this person has got the brain tumor in the very first checkup. Only he has to come to know. So that is what here, what the humans can't do, the machines have to achieve. Okay, so this is the case here where I can use my artificial intelligence techniques to detect the disease. So now this person here, Alan Turing, also made like this. This was just one example here where I try to explain you the things here, right? So this was the theory here, and we have one more test like the Chinese room problem, where the Shirley said that no, the computers can't think like humans. Okay, on what basis he said was, so there was a room here where the user was one user was allowed, and their storage was there. So what was the aim of the person was, the one who has provided me the question, he has given me a book, right? And the storage area is optional. What I have to do is I have to convert some language, I have to convert some script into the Chinese language with the data provided to me there. Okay, with some dictionary, for example, Kannada to Chinese dictionary, I have got English to Chinese dictionary or English to Chinese dictionary. With some stuff, whatever I have got the study material, I have to convert that thing to the Chinese language. Okay, yes, after some hours, okay, after some hours of time, he does that. So when he does, but before doing, if there is no any other data provided, whether he can do, whether the person can convert the Chinese, can anyone tell me? Only there are two options. He can convert to Chinese. So can anyone tell me the first option? Anyone can answer me like. Are you getting or no? See, the person here, he is asked to convert to some of the scripts to a Chinese language. Unless and until he converts, he needs some data there that has got some study material to help him to convert to the Chinese language. Whether he could have done with the help of that study material or no, my answer is simple. My question is simple. Can anyone answer me? Anyone? Or do you want me to take the names? You can tell me, right? See, students, I need a reply. Unless and until you tell me about the replies, unless you until you respond, I can't
We
take
can
on.
convert it, ma'am.
Yes, we can convert it unless and until I know the Chinese language, right? We can do it. We can do it unless I have to be a Chinese or else I have to be too intelligent that I'll be knowing all the languages. So, yes, we can do it. So, but in here in the second option, what he tells me is that compulsory if I want to train my computer to be the computer to be intelligent means I have to provide the computer. I have to train my machine with all the input stuff. So how here in this what he decides a theory, he decides an analogy for a computer. Now what is that? The user here I am getting the user, so this one will be the user, and the and the study material that I have given, so that one will be my memory script here, right? And the one where I am converting, the person who is converting, he will be the CPU, uh, and the output whatever I am getting, the translated what I have converted from the input data to the other required data, so that one will be my program. Okay, so in this way he relates this Chinese room to an analogy for a computer, where he concludes, yes, of course the computers can behave in an intelligent way, but not all the times. It doesn't agree.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Your screen is not visible, ma'am.
screen is not visible.
Yeah, it's been 5 minutes.
Okay, just a second. Okay, did you now it is visible?
No, ma'am.
Just a second. Then. Okay, did Alan Turing test was explained, right? This was visible. Now it's visible, na, Tripura?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible now.
Okay. Okay, so we were studying about the Chinese room analogy for a computer, right? So we related that Chinese room to the computer. Like yes, user can there will be a user input and the bus and the output, right? The CPU memory script. So all these things related to the computer, trying to prove that the computer can behave intelligent sometimes and sometimes it can't be made as intelligent. So what are those things here? What are those disadvantages? Like every time I can't say that computer is the intelligent person. So some of the things are like, first of all, the computer has to be provided with the symbols, semantics, and syntax there. Okay, so so what he is trying to conclude is, yes, I can't tell the computer is intelligent, but unless and until my computer has to be operated, it has to operate solely on syntax, not the semantics. Okay, so that means every computer need to have its own syntax. Then only I can tell that yes, it can do the next task. So based upon this, these Chinese people, they concluded that there are two types of categories of AI. That is a strong AI and a weak AI. Then what is a strong AI? Is pursuit of machine intelligence. That is strong AI. Weak AI means pursuit of the machines solving the problems in an intelligent way. So Strong AI means where the machine is itself solving the way, right? A machine is itself solving the different tasks. But in the case of the weak I have to solve the problems in an intelligent way, and then I have to train the machine. So hence here, this thing which was explained by the Chinese room principle, it was globally accepted, and hence we can conclude that there are two categories of the AI, that is strong AI and weak AI. So next, after this, so after having got now two principles, that is Alan Turing test and then Shirley's principle of the Chinese room, so we can come to a conclusion or come to the definition of correct approach to the artificial intelligence, like what does it do, how we can do it. So whichever problem I want to address, so I'll be selecting that specific problem to solve. Okay, I'll be selecting one problem. Now, suppose if I go to a health center, I'll take some detection of the brain tumor, or prediction of or a neurological disorder. So here the word is prediction. Prediction means before the people come to know, before the doctors come to know, my machine must be able to predict it. Then only I can make the use of the AI, or else no one else can replace the doctor in the world, right? So I have to take up one problem which is partially, which is not at all solved by humans, right? Which can be done only by the machines. So next step is study the problem, then come up with the proper representation, means collect all the databases, whatever is required. Then based upon that, we have to categorize. We have to categorize the problem into cognitive activity. Cognitive activity means here I can tell it is the where the human mind is studied, right? Where the human mind is studied with some like theory of the mind there, or with some theory of a healthy human brain. So these are the some things if I want to relate it to the neurological disorder, right? And then, or there might be other category, like we have to go some trial and error methods. For example, in case of the narcotics, where in case of pharmaceutical industries, instead of doing all those chemical things, what I have to do is I have to put those quantities in a machine, right? And then my machine has to measure some accurate values of those measurement, and it has to depict that you are going to get this chemical, which helps in curing this disease, right? So these things are done by the AI then. So these are the some of the approaches here what we can do. Yes. Now we'll go to the next step, like AI in healthcare. That is four examples here: deep learning to diagnose the diseases, machine learning and radiology, automating administrative tasks, and reducing operational costs. So before going to the deep learning to diagnose this disease means, you can ask me a question like, what is this deep learning? How did it come from artificial intelligence, right? So here I'll go to the next slide. So before explaining that one, we'll take a look at this slide. Like you can see, up till we were talking about artificial intelligence, right? This is one big whole circle. It is the artificial intelligence field. So any technique that enables the computers, okay, all those things. Now whatever I have told you. Now how this thing is done using machine learning. The machine learning means what? This is a subset of AI, or the sub branch of the AI, that includes abstruse statistical techniques that enable the machines to improve at the tasks with experience, right? So this is in the machine learning. So inside this machine learning, we have one more category that is called as deep learning. So deep learning means where it is composed of the machine learning algorithms that permit the software to train itself. So I'll just put you one simple example how these three fields are related. Okay, now in artificial intelligence, what I said, I can detect the tumor. This is which is present in the brain, right? So the same example, I'll train a machine, and what my machine can do is it can detect the tumor from certain samples. Okay, my accuracy for that samples to detect is suppose 80%. Means how it, what is this accuracy and 80% means? If suppose up till 80% I can detect that this person has got the disease. Now if I want to increase the chances of that, I can assure, guarantee that yes, this fellow he has got the tumor for 100% and all, then I will go for the deep learning techniques. Means in the neural network, suppose I have used one 10 layers, Okay, that's it. With the 10 neural net, with the 10 layers, I have trained my model to detect that disease. In deep learning, what will I do? I'll increase my count of the layers. There, I will design the neural networks. I'll increase the number of neurons in my neural networks there. Okay, so that is called as the deep learning model. Okay, in order to increase the accuracy of the my system. So the other story is different here. Like we can increase the test samples, we can increase the training samples. I'll let you know what are these training samples and the test samples. Okay, so this is how the deep learning can be used, how the deep learning is related to machine learning as well as the artificial intelligence. Now going to the back to again to the previous slide here, we were talking about the deep learning to diagnose the disease. Okay, so I need compulsorily the deep learning here to diagnose disease. Not that machine learning is not sufficient, but if it is deep learning, yes, of course I can defend it with my machine that I am right. Okay, I'm right, this person has got, I can't lie in case of the when it comes to health issues, right? That is how I'll be taking up my first point. And then machine learning and radiology, yes, here I can relate machine learning and the radiology. Why? Because in radiology there will be some values there will be width area, height area. Now if I take the simple x-ray image of a brain, there will be parameters like width, height, and then shape of the a tumor there, perimeter, smoothness, compactness, concavity, concave points, symmetry. These all points, yes, of course, they can be done with the help of machine learning. No need to go for the deep learning there. But only in complex cases, I can switch to the deep learning techniques. So hence here, machine learning and radiology goes well in the hands. And then automating administrative tasks. And now suppose what I can do is automating administrative tasks means, suppose I have got my X-ray image done, right? Uh, with the help of this administrative task means here, I do not want to pay much to the radiologist there. Instead, what will I do? I'll go to such different health centers where everything is automated, where I do not have to pay to the radiologist. Only I'll get my scanned my brain with the machine there, and I'll get it automated, right? I don't want to reveal it to any other doctors that me having such and such disease. I want to keep it secret. So in that cases, I can go for this automotive administrative tasks. And along with that, what I can do is I can also relate this administrative tasks a little more. If I take it out of the field, like to different IoT devices, means I want my report to be generated in my phone without any intermediate device there. So in such cases, now whatever the report is generated, if I am with the disease or not without the disease, whatever the report, it has to be in my mobile phones then. Okay, I have to give my X-ray image. I have to upload the X-ray image and I have to get the data, right? So that is called automating administrative. Then reducing the operational costs. So if for a simple CT, if for a simple positron emission tomography, you have to pay nearly 25,000. So instead of that, if I train the model, when whatever the results I get, it will be within 5 to 6,000, right? So that is how I'll be reducing the operational costs here. So these are the some examples in health informatics up till today, that is in 2020. Now, what are these applications of AI in medicine today? So, in detail, we'll be studying up like diagnose the disease. How I have to diagnose the disease means I have to first check the age, check the history of the person with if they have any issues with the cancer, like in their family, any of them. And along with that, next is I have to develop the drugs. See, first in the first step, like diagnosis, is we have detecting the lung cancer from CT scans. CT means here computed tomography. So these CT scans, I'll be getting the data, and then I'll be assessing the cardiac health, okay, from electrocardiograms. If it is a skin disease, I have to use the images of the skin. And now if it is a diabetic, identify the retinopathy from eye image, again I have to get the X-ray, right? So similarly, we have these different um, what I can say monitoring modalities of my health. so that I can take it. Okay, for example, I can get the CT scan, I can get the X-ray, positron emission tomography, right? And then all these different things I can use and I can train my model. Okay, then when it comes to the second part, okay, one I will be taking, for example, diagnosis disease means suppose I have took the one CT scan, right? Which will be a CSV sheet, means your Microsoft Excel sheet. In that, I'll be having radius, texture, perimeter, area, smoothness, compactness, concavity, and then concave points and the symmetry and the fractional dimension. I'm talking about the cancer there, right? Detection of the cancer means of the brain cancer, then all these values I'll be having in that CT scan, then I'll be converting it into Excel sheet. So that is how I'll be diagnosing the disease. I'll be taking the data set. So this whatever the I'll be getting the raw data, I'll be collecting all those data, and that will be my first phase. So that is the diagnosing the diseases. Okay, I'll tell you in detail in the next slides here. And then four stages in drug development. So after getting all those X-ray images, CT scans done, when I have got all the necessary data with values, next thing is I have to develop some medicines. Then what I have to do, identify the target molecules here. So here target molecules means we have to identify the parts, which part of the body is affected, and then in that which cell is affected. So and then I'll be trying to define some defective drugs and then speed up the clinical trials. Okay. See, a similar way how we developed the vaccine for COVID, in similar way we have to try to develop the drugs which can battle my disease, right? And what are these biomarkers? So these biomarkers are those, means the body parts here with which if I which when they are medicated with some medicine, it has to act on that 100%. Okay, they have to give me the 100% result. So those are called as the biomarkers. We have to find the biomarkers, like for example, in case of like the COVID, in the chest X-ray images, when it is in the last stage, we'll come to know it is visible in the when it is in the last stage first, still it will be not visible in the my body temperature or my symptoms will not come to that. I'm in a last stage. But when I take up the X-ray, where the virus has affected throughout my lung, then I can tell that yes, of course it has affected me in the first stage, but where the doctor will fail there, right? So my machine has to win that situation. So though now here my chest is the biomarker here, right? So chest will be the one which will be affected the most, and I have to mark it as the for my diagnostics. So that is how I can relate this four stages in drug development. Now after this I have to design the right treatment plan. So this right treatment plan is done by the doctor, right? Only I can start with the plan there. I can give only some predictions. My machine can't diagnose with the treatment plan. Okay. And then next is we have one more important character here, like one more important property, improve the gene editing. So what is this gene editing is group of technologies that give scientists the ability to change an organism's DNA. So here people are scientists are in a way that they want to change the DNA. Now yes, of course we can tell that. I'll just give an example. You like if there are couple here who do not have the babies. In one or the other way, we have to get the babies there. So what we'll do? There are different methods there where the couple will be asked like which color of which eye color do you want for the babies. That is called where I'll be doing the gene editing, right? Even to that extent here we the technology is most developed, right? They will alter the color of the eye, they will alter the color of the skin, right? So this is the reason here where my artificial intelligence in healthcare plays a vital role. Okay, so they will start developing the babies in the laboratory. Okay, so that is the different issue. This gene editing falls in that field here. Okay, next is first before getting here, we have to understand what the patient wants. Like he wants me to competent, and then he wants to care about me. improve the improve or temporize, cure the prevent my problem, and no means first thing is as the patient wants to be understood completely by the doctor. Similarly, for a machine, the patients all the necessities to be have to be done clearly. All the data sets have to be done. So after this, once I collect the data set, yes, where I can use these data set values. I can use it in personal health tracking where you'll be using your smartphones for monitoring your first walking, right, in the medical imaging, and then patient monitoring, home monitoring, medication, adherence, pathology, where I'll be studying the different body parts, body fluids there, and then quantification, genomics, and analytics. So these are the different fields of my patients' data where I can utilize them. Then after this, we have some global challenges like where I'll be where I if I want to concentrate in AI, where I can address them. For example, first one is the population is growing. Then for everyone, I can't hire a doctor. Every person doesn't have the time, or I cannot tell that each of a person are lucky enough to consult to a doctor, right? So that is also the one disadvantage here. And in aging developed world, right? Uh, and then chronic and preventable disease epidemic. So these are the some of the challenges here where my I can apply the AI. Okay, now we'll come to the next thing. For example, so this one, that is large quantities of the data is required, and curated clean databases. So these all things I will just give you in the demonstration here. Okay, so we'll go for the basic steps in the detection of disease in ML. So I'll go with the first step here. Now all we have seen the theory part. I said we have to prepare the data and all those things. So I'll just give you one example how to detect the tumors in the brain here. Okay, so my first stage will be phase zero stage. That is phase zero stage means data preparation. As I said, I need all the patient details, so this data set can be my X-ray, or it can be CT scan, or it can be positron emission tomography, right? So this is the data preparation. Or if my machine I am going to train it with the images, then I need the images, right? Those X-ray images I need, which are converted to the JPG format or into certain pixels where my machine will be working. So that is my first phase, that is data preparation phase. So here I'll be taking some CSV files here. Okay, now this CSV file I'll be giving the ID number, and here I'll be detecting the type of the cancer, either it is malignant or B, that is benign. Okay, and I'll be making the category. So in this data or in this CSV file, I'll be having the radius parameter, texture, perimeter, area, smoothness, up till 10 parameters I'll be having. Then I'll be training my model with certain testing and training set. Then what is this training and testing set? You can ask me like that. See, now suppose I have got 100 samples of data set, right? 100 different X-ray images, or the 100 different images I have got. Suppose I'm doing with respect to X-ray images. Consider just for easiness. Then 100 images among in 100, 75 are with the images that are affected with tumor, and remaining 25 are non-affected. So when I train with all these 75, so my machine will detect that yes, this picture it is having the brain tumor. Now if I give the one which is non-trained, means the one which is not affected with brain tumor, then it has to categorize it into different group, that it is non-affected with brain tumor. So how will I do it? So that is for the training and the testing samples. So my testing samples must be in such a way that I to check the efficiency of the machine, my testing samples must be out of this zone. Okay, something above these 100 samples. Okay, so when my machine predicts for those test samples, then I can say that my machine is accurate. But prior to this, what I have to do, I have to train my machines with all these values. Go on training the machines with all these values. For example, if in case in one of the parameter, like if the perimeter is like 2, now it was limited to 2.5. If it is 2 means my machine was not trained with 2.5, then it categorizes it is non affected, but still it is affected, then it is wrong, then where that machine will fail. So as much as possible I have to train with maximum numbers there. So that is called as data exploration. Okay, data preparation and then data exploration. It is simply like training the data and testing the data. And then the phase two is categorical data split, that is training and the testing. And along with that, here I'll be categorizing the data set based upon some neural networks there, or based upon the age, gender, group, country. All these are the my classification things here, where I'll be categorizing the data. And then next one is feature scaling. So how my machine has to classify it. Okay, now if I take some different algorithms like Euclidean distance, or if I go with the neural networks like mm, I'll take from the Python, that is scikit-learn library, which it will be using some transformations with the Euclidean distance. Along with that, we have different algorithms like random forest trees, decision trees, convolutional neural network, recurrent neural network, right? So these are the different networks I'll be using. Now, when it comes to model selection, here again I'll be differentiating it. Either it is the regression type or it is the classification type. So you'll not come to know now directly what is regression and what is classification. Again, I have to go with switch the topic with machine learning here. But as of now, where this regression is like where it is related to the output variable. If the output variable is real or continuous value, for example, salary or the weight, so that is categorized as the regression. Now, classification means where I'll be classifying my emails like it is a spam or not spam, or I'll be classifying the images like it belongs to cat, it belongs to dog. So that is the way I'll be doing the model selection, right? That is the model scaling and model selection. Along with that, we have the different classification algorithms also. Random forest, decision tree, naive Bayes, kernel SVM, support vector machines. For all these algorithms, for example, in your subjects, you have different algorithms, right? So similarly, for each category here, I'll be having the different algorithms. Now, when it comes to accuracy, how to find the accuracy of the machine? So that is number of the correct predictions divided by total number of the predictions made. Now, in the previous example, I stated that I'll be taking number of the prediction, total number of the predictions would be 100, number of the correct predictions would be 80. Means among 100, it has 80 predictions it has made correct, that is 80% accuracy. So it's still 20, it is under confusion, right? It is not detecting accurately. So that much accuracy I can take it. Yes, that is efficient. Okay. So this is the way here how I can um, relate my machine with the exact performance here. Did you understand? Getting or no? Everyone? Understanding, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I have just taken one data set here, that is one which was there with me. Okay, in some one more session, if it is there, I'll give you one biometric system also, where that was my first project. Now this is one here where I'll be detecting the cancer. I I have got the data set here. I'll just show you here, cancer.csv. So now here I did not take my data set as the images. I have got only the attributes here, like the parameters. As I said, see, this one is my radius. One m equal to 1 and b equal to 0 means m means malignant, b means here benign. That is the classification of the cancer there. Whenever I get the 1 here, these patients, they have got the type of the cancer that is malignant. And now 0 means here this patient, so each will be having its own ID. So he has got the benign cancer. So this is where here doctors will fail to identify whether it is malignant cancer or benign cancer, which is very essential parameter for the patient to survive, right? Based upon this classification. Okay, they will come to know, but it will be very late in that cases. So that is the reason we can tell directly that yes, this person has got the cancer, but I can't. No need to use the machine for that. But in such cases, when when I'm not able to classify based upon the benign or the malignant, so my machine will be acting as the number one good predictor there, right? So we talked about the different parameters here, right? So radius, the texture, perimeter, area. You can see for this radius parameters, we have between between the 20 for when it is like malignant. When it comes to benign, suddenly it got to 13, 19, 15, right? No, I cannot tell that only radius parameter. Based upon this I can group it, right? So for all these things I have got some 12 to 13 parameters here, right? So these are many parameters where I'll be using this as my CSV sheet. Hmm? For uploading it in the Colab Lab, that is in the Jupyter. Sorry. Okay. So again, you have to learn for the Python here. So I import the pandas as PD data set. Now first I'll be reading the data set here. That is pd.read underscore CSV. So cancer.csv. So once I run it, I'll run anyway. Okay, so let it do. So before that, we have to upload the files here. I guess it will show an error. Okay, we'll wait. Yes. So I had to upload the CSV file. So I'll take that. Did not upload it. So cancer.csv. Okay. So now we'll once again run. Because this time it will work. Now there are no years. Now I have uploaded my data set here in this. So next is x equal to data set to drop columns. See, now with columns means I am taking here only the column section, that is I am classifying it now 1 equal to m and 0 equal to b. Then diagnosis with respect to x in the x variable and this in the y variable. 1 equal to m and 0 equal to b. So I will be taking that one column here. Okay, and then as I said, I'll be split the data into training set and a testing set. So x train, y train. So the function you'll be passing is xy test underscore size is 0.2. So 0.2 means I'll be utilizing about 20% of my data set. Not all the I'll be training with all the data sets there. I'll be utilizing with only 20%. Okay, ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ 1000 data sets ಐತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲಾನು train ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ರೀ. Okay, so in that case, what will I do is x is not identified. Just wait. Yeah, I have to run these also. I don't know, I kept it ready. Okay, so now there are no errors. I have trained with the training set and the data set. Now I talked about the model there, that choosing the model. Now here I'll be choosing the TensorFlow and Keras here, and then I'm using the activation. The activation is a sigmoid. So there are different activation models. You have also have got the ReLU, that is rectified linear unit. But here, as I'll be training with, so what is this 256? Is 256? This is the layers wise, right? When in case now this is my layered numbers here. Up till 256 units, I'll be training it for the with the help of my Keras model there. Okay, and then I'll be using the binary classification algorithm, so binary cross entropy. And what I want to measure the metrics here is the accuracy. I want to measure the accuracy of my model. Means accuracy means up till what percentage it is correct. Okay. Means whether my machine works for all the 100%. Yes, now see, I am training it. I'll be getting the accuracy. So what is this epochs? So somewhere I guess there will be an epochs here, right? Epochs equal to 1000 means for 1000 iterations, my one data set will be continuously monitored. Okay, unless and until only for once I can test it and I'll get 95% means I can't consider it, right? ಅದೇ ಒಂದೇ ಡೇಟಾ ಸೆಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಒಂದೇ ಇಮೇಜನ್ನು ನನಗೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಮುರ್ಗಾ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಟಿಲ್ 94 95 right. What is my range? Then what is the total number of iterations it is going to do is that is called as the epochs here. Okay, so once I train, so it is still under processing, you can see, and I have chosen here a loss. Okay, the loss I have chosen here where, okay, loss equal to, that is binary classification, that is how much amount of the data it is being lost. Means again there will be different error rates like acceptation rate, rejection rate. So instead of that I have taken some losses, what if the accuracy loss is there, up till in what percentage. Hmm? You can see my accuracy now, it is going still 938 up till 1000. Once it reaches 1000, I'll get to know the accuracy. Now you can see here the accuracy is nearly 96, 97, right, nearly 95, ranging from 97, in between 95 to 97 it is ranging. So I can tell that it works. Now this one is next is evaluating the model. So that means up all the 1000 iterations I'll be taking an average. So yes, title total 94.74. My total loss is here 0.1328. So that is ignorable. So how much it took? 4 milliseconds for per step. See now in this way, for this one single column here, it I made it for epochs is these many. Now if I want to train for all of these images, means it is little time consuming, but I can guarantee you the accuracy, right? So in such cases, I can use this artificial intelligence. Did you understand? Did you got the demo, everyone? Understood? Yes or no? Did you understand the? You not understand the code perfectly, but this is how it works. Okay, when you will come to the next semester, when you will be in working with the code there you will come to know. Did you get it now at least? Like how it would be?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that was all about the artificial intelligence. Not that you have to work with the collab only. You can work with Spider and all those things. Not that you have to work with the Sigmoid activation. You can go for the Relu there, or you can choose, and you can also consider some of the research papers like. The one which belongs to, like, for me I have got one research paper where I'll be comparing the different medical diseases with different new machine learning techniques. Okay, which machine learning techniques or which algorithm is best for for this disease. So in that way I'll be working with. So it is like the trial and the error process. Every time you have to work with that. Okay. So what will be the takeaways? Takeaways from this talk will be like, you'll come to know uh, the patients more like you never before did, and we can together fight and overcome with all the different diseases there, global healthcare challenges, improve the patient experience, and where the doctors might fail, we can start with the AI trained machines there, right? So this is the way where I can use the technology in good progress, where the human lives is very much lot of importance nowadays. Okay, so in this way you can be future AI developers, machine learning developers, right? Instead of going into like simply a software developer where you can contribute towards the medicine field, right? So this was all about that. Thank you. Any doubts?
Guys, feedback form is shared in the chat box. You can circulate amongst the group and inform all the students to submit the feedback at the end. Guys, any questions we have before we close? The one or two questions.
Any questions?
Yes. No questions. Fine. So on behalf of department, on behalf of all the students, I thank Vijeta ma'am for delivering a lecture on artificial intelligence in healthcare. So hope, Macy, the term AI or healthcare, they are very huge domains. We cannot learn them in few minutes or few sessions. We are there to, if anybody wants to work in depth, we are there to help you out or we will learn together. All right. Thank you, Vijeta ma'am, and thank you guys for joining the session.
Thank
We'll
you,
meet
sir.
up in
Thank
the
you.
next session. If any queries
Okay,
are
sir.
there, you can please comment. Else you guys can leave the room.